सब्सक्राइब कीजिए हमारे चैनल डिफेसिस को और दबाइए बेल बटन को ताकि आपको मिल सके हमारी वीडियोस की अपडेट सबसे पहले।
In order to meet an ambitious target of $5 billion worth of military exports annually by 2025, the center will encourage government-to-government deals, using lines of credit to friendly foreign nations and branding of home-developed products at international shows. Spelling out its export promotion strategy, the Defense Ministry has marked out a target for Defense PSU, and the Ordnance Factory Board achieved 25% of their revenues from exports within the next 5 years in a draft policy. The targets would be difficult to meet, especially for PSUs that depend on the Indian Armed Forces as their only customer, necessitating a series of steps that have been spelled out, including an even more proactive role for Indian missions abroad and an aggressive marketing campaign. An active campaign to push through direct government deals would go a long way, along the model used by top exporters like Russia and the US. Subject to strategic considerations, domestically manufactured defense products will be promoted through government-to-government agreements and lines of credit or funding, the draft policy reads. The government is also looking to position some PSU as export promotion agencies for specific nations, with their earnings directly linked to the business generated, incentivizing performance. These PSU are yet to be identified but would be companies that have exposure in the identified nations. Among major systems India is looking at offering through direct government talks are the BrahMos cruise missile system, the Akash air defense system, the Tejas light combat aircraft, and a range of choppers manufactured indigenously. Other products include torpedoes, fast attack craft, and a range of naval systems. Achieving the $5 billion target is an uphill task, given that exports last year were pegged at $1.2 billion, a huge jump from the past.
India has hit back at Pakistan a day before the first anniversary of the changes in the status of Jammu and Kashmir. The immediate context for the broadside launched by India's permanent representative to the UN, T.S. Tyagaramunty, was Pakistan's failure to persuade the UN Security Council to come out with a resolution on Kashmir. Pakistan had stepped up its campaign against the August 5th abrogation of Articles 370 and 35A, with Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi persuading China to hold a closed-door meeting on Kashmir at the UNSC. Qureshi later marked the consultations as a political victory for the Imran Khan government, since this was the second time in 6 months that the UNSC had discussed Kashmir. Tyagaramunty said Pakistan's latest attempt had also fallen flat. Attempts by Pakistan to try and internationalize what is a bilateral issue is nothing new. Contrary to what Qureshi has asserted, there has been no formal meeting of the UNSC on the India-Pakistan issue since 1965. What came up recently was a closed-door and completely informal meeting under the category of any other business, which is not even a recorded discussion, Tyagaramunty pointed out. Even the UN Secretary-General, in his statement of August 2019, clearly referred to the 1972 bilateral Shimla Agreement. Consequently, Pakistan's efforts haven't met any traction in UNSC. Even if Pakistan persists, there are no takers here in the UN, Tyagaramunty added. It is a well-known fact that Pakistan is home to the largest number of listed terrorists, internationally designated terrorist entities and individuals. Under the 1267 Committee, which submits its report periodically on terrorist activities of the ISIL, the Al-Qaeda and its affiliates, there are several direct references to Pakistan's involvement, pointed out the diplomat. India has refused to consider any de-escalation in Ladakh until the disengagement process, withdrawal of Chinese intrusions, is complete, as Indian negotiators push back against repeated demands to move troops back from forward areas. In the last meeting between military commanders and at the Working Group 2, China demanded that India draw down its forces. The Chinese negotiators have complained about Indian aircraft and road building, but refuse to respond when Indians point out they have been building infrastructure for years. India is showing no urgency in de-escalation. Pangong being the biggest source of contention, India is insisting that China move back to its old position on Finger 8 spur. India has also refused the Chinese demand that its troops move back behind the Dayan Singh Thapa post. As reported by TOI, both sides are digging in for the winter. India has mounted a massive logistics and stocking exercise, mirroring its actions in Siachen every year. This might indicate that even if there is disengagement, de-escalation is not very likely. China wants India to box the boundary dispute and get on with bilateral ties. Responding to questions about Foreign Minister S. Chankar's interview to TOI on Sunday, the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson said, the two should make sure differences do not escalate into disputes. I hope India will work with us in the same direction and safeguard overall interests of bilateral relations with concrete actions. That is no longer acceptable to India. In his interview to TOI, Shankar was clear, the state of the border and the future of our ties cannot be separated. That is the reality. Notwithstanding the unsuccessful attempts made by him to raise the Kashmir issue at the world stage, Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan on Wednesday reiterated that his country would continue to raise the matter at all international forums. Addressing the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir's Legislative Assembly on the first anniversary of India's decision to revoke the special status of Jammu and Kashmir on August 5, 2019, Khan claimed that many world leaders didn't even know what was going on in Kashmir. Khan said that it was due to his government's efforts that the Kashmir issue was highlighted and now, the world was taking notice of it. Significantly, Khan in the past admitted that there has been a lukewarm response to the Kashmir issue at the world stage due to what he described as the commercial interests of the Western countries in India, which is a big market. Khan said he personally briefed world leaders including US President Donald Trump, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, German Chancellor Angela Merkel and French President Emmanuel Macron about Kashmir. Pakistan has been unsuccessfully trying to drum up international support against India for withdrawing J&K's special status and bifurcating it into two union territories. India has categorically told the international community that the scrapping of Article 370 was its internal matter. It also advised Pakistan to accept reality and stop all anti-India propaganda. Khan also defended the new political map of Pakistan and said that it was essential to respond to India's decision to include Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan as part of India. The Indian Army is currently looking for an armored vehicle to be used in high-altitude areas like eastern Ladakh. For this, it has shortlisted 3 vehicles, including an indigenous vehicle. According to IANS report, the Army is currently considering TATA Wheeled Armored Protection Vehicle along with Humvee and America's Stryker Infantry Combat Vehicle. The vehicle is reportedly required for quick movement of troops in eastern Ladakh area where the Chinese army is already using several armored vehicles for its troops. It is being reported that the indigenous TATA Wheeled Armored Protection Vehicle has higher chances of being commissioned as compared to the other 2 vehicles. TATA Wheeled Armored Protection Vehicle has been co-developed with the DRDO, Defense Research and Development Organization, laboratory and has been rigorously tested to perform in extreme conditions, including high-altitude areas. It is based on Tata Defense Combat Wheel Armored Amphibious Platform and gets amphibious drive mode as well as independent suspension with hydro-pneumatic struts. Tata Wheeled Armored Protection Vehicle can carry around 10 to 12 personnel and be used as a reconnaissance vehicle, infantry carrier, or logistics carrier. However, the vehicle has never been in service before. The Humvee and American Stryker armored vehicles, on the other hand, have served extensively in the US Defense Forces. So, it needs to be seen if the Indian Army will go for wheeled armored protection vehicle as opposed to the other armored vehicles. In case you didn't know, Tata Motors has had a long association with the armed forces and has supplied several armored and combat vehicles. The Indian Army is currently using a specially made Safari Storm as patrolling vehicle in many parts of the country. India is all set to take delivery of the two VIP Boeing 777 aircraft. Dubbed India's Air Force One, the new plane will fly the country's top leadership on important foreign missions. The new 777s will replace the fleet of aging Air India 747s, as the government looks to operate its own fleet of aircraft, separate from the soon-to-be privatized Air India. One of the most exciting aspects of the new aircraft is the new livery it will feature. Previously, the Prime Minister's plane simply used an Air India livery, since it was a commercial plane on special operations. However, now with the redesigned 777, the government has gone with a newer, sleek appearance. The plane features India written in both English and Hindi along the side, along with the national emblem in the center. On the tail, we see the Indian flag, reminiscent of the US flag on Air Force One. The aircraft is set to be operated by the Indian Air Force, and not Air India, which explains the inclusion of Air Force insignia behind the rear door. The primary focus of the new fleet has obviously been security. The former Air India 777s have been in Boeing's facility in Dallas undergoing extensive security upgrades. We've previously covered the new onboard security features, which includes defensive and countermeasure capabilities. The new planes will come with large aircraft infrared countermeasures self-protection suites, which allows the aircraft to detect and jam incoming missiles. The planes will also have advanced integrated defensive electronic warfare suite to protect from electronic threats to the plane. These systems are a part of a massive $190 million military purchase made by India, which was approved by the State Department last year. India's Air Force One was first expected to come into service in July, but this was pushed back due to the current crisis. The two 777s that are being upgraded were a part of Air India's order and still hold the same registration for now. However, the planes will be operated by the Air Force and maintained by Air India Engineering Services Limited.